Yo, how y'all feel about the GOP pushing a bill to ban teaching of slavery and shit like that? Basically, they trying to take this slavery history out of school education. For as you know, we learned about slavery, and you get what I'm saying, different lands and different providence and shit like that was conquered and all of this and that. So they basically trying to make a bill, pass a bill to take slavery teachers out of school. Y'all listen.
Fundamentally racist country. Joe Biden now wants to spend your money on critical race theory lessons for our country's already distressed students. Last month, the Department of Education proposed a regulation that directs tax dollars to the race hustlers who traffic in this poison.
Tucker is the last person who should be talking about any form of trafficking. Now, parts of academia are aligning with the right-wing rhetoric, and in doing so, exhibiting cowardice and a lack of integrity. Case in point, explosive fight over the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Nicole Hannah-Jones, a recipient of the MacArthur Fellowship Genius Grant. They don't hand those out to everybody. Whose 1619 project famously looked at the legacy of U.S. slavery, and who this year was appointed the prestigious Knight Chair in Race and Investigative Journalism at the University of North Carolina, which is usually a tenured job, except not this time. In a highly unusual step, the university's Board of Trustees denied Hannah-Jones tenure, breaking with the recommendation of the actual journalism department that was hiring her. It's already provoking a backlash. The UNC board claiming today Hannah-Jones has a limited quote-unquote academic background, even though she received her master's degree from, wait for it, University of North Carolina, which I should note is also my alma mater where I got my doctorate, and I know the difficulty that they put people through. So what's really going on here? Well, first, there's the larger issue of diversity in academia. It's important to note just 5% of tenured professors at bachelor's universities in America are black. There are a larger percentage of African-American astronauts than black people who are tenured in this country. It's easier for us to get shot into space than actually teach undergrads. But there's also the cowardice element. University supposedly committed to the free exchange of ideas, which is now afraid of what Nicole Hannah-Jones might say in the classroom. Would prefer to bend to politicians like Mitch McConnell, who is on a crusade against the 1619 Project, which I'm sure he hasn't read. And those voices over on, the crazy place.
This just gibberish right here, but he's elaborating on the situation. So those of you all that's waiting for the details or whatever, he actually saying it, but he's saying it in a professional type way.
The entirely fraudulent 1619 Project headed by Nicole Hannah-Jones.
This Hannah-Jones dispute leads to a larger question. Why was a woman who distorts history even up for a tenure position at any university in the first place?
Wait, before you scroll away, you need to hear this.
That might be the largest number of black people they've ever had on their shows. Joining me now is New Yorker staff writer and professor of journalism at Columbia University, Jelani Cobb, and editor-at-large for the 19th and an MSNBC contributor, Aaron Haynes. I can't wait to have this discussion with both of you today. Aaron, I'm going to start with you. You wrote really one of the first pieces that people were paying attention to in the 19th about UNC's board stepping in and stopping the department from offering tenure to Hannah Nicole Jones. But you also say this is part of a larger problem that we've got happening all across America right now?
Well, yes, and Jason, let me just stop you there. My colleague Mariel Padilla wrote that story for the 19th. But I'm glad that we had it on our site because it absolutely is in the wheelhouse of what we care about at the 19th. But listen, I am based in Philadelphia where we love telling stories about the framers, the founding fathers, right? When it comes to folks like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, we can't tell that story about America enough, right? But when it comes to slavery, why can't we move on? Let's move on. And as somebody who's long covered race issues, this backlash against telling the truth, I heard Laura Ingraham say, call it distorting history, but actually correcting the record is something that this is usually the reaction.
Whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole.
There's no good to slavery, though.
back to part 3 of this. Prohibit discussion of divisive concepts as part of a larger course of academic instruction. What does that mean?
Exactly what it says. I mean, the words on the page are if there's
But what is a larger course of academic instruction?
if you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole.
There's no good to slavery, though.
Well, that whatever the case may be, you're right. I didn't mean to imply that, and I don't believe that, and I know that that's the case. But I'm using that good, bad, and ugly as a generic way of saying that you can teach any factually based anything, regardless.
None of us were around when slavery occurred. We can rely on the history that was written about that time. We can rely on primary documents that we have found. But nobody sitting here on the earth was around when the United States had slavery. So
None of us were alive when most of history was written.
History is constantly being written. It is a fluid concept.
How can history? A fact is a fact. So I don't understand what you mean by a fluid. Please explain to me what you mean by a fluid concept.
I'm saying history. History is yesterday. History is 2 days ago.
And what occurred. That's exactly what I'm saying. We agree on that.
But we can experience the same event and potentially have differing views.